Alright, so this is just a semi-scripted rant that I wanted to record because I'm trying to say the same thing to a large number of people at the same time. So this is just a more convenient way for me to do it than to just type it out over and over again. I spent 17 years living in a house with a father with paranoid schizophrenia and a mother with borderline personality disorder. I don't consider it a childhood as much as a 17-year case study on the interplay between these two disorders in a codependent relationship. I mean, I was put in primary custody of a child when I was 4 by parents who were annoyed at their inability to find me a husband to either distract or reframe blame from the rampant sexual abuse that I was already experiencing, and my situation did not improve from there, so I don't think you could call my experience in any sense a childhood. So what I witnessed in that household was insanity. Literally, it was insanity. And when my mom would say things like, Dairy Queen uses aborted fetuses to flavor their ice cream, or my dad would say things like, Iran is currently building a nuclear arsenal with the aid of Russia with the sole intent to wipe out Israel, it was very hard to stay sane. When all the news and all the education that I received, I wasn't sent to a school and I wasn't allowed to watch TV or listen to the radio, so everything I learned had to be filtered through them. And when everything that I received, all the information and all the all the stuff I learned about the world had to be filtered through them, and they were insane. And when the stuff they told me was just too crazy for me to believe, I had to either develop a sense of how to get the correct answers or else just buy into their insanity. I had to either develop a sense of how to get the correct answers for myself or just go insane. And often I had nothing to work with other than my brain to decide whether or not what they were saying was believable. I think the fact that I was able to come out of it as sane as I am is ample testament to the fact that the methods I used worked. My biggest tool was to question everything. The vast majority of the time, it was unsafe to ask my questions out loud, but I still asked them, if only in my own head. With my earlier examples, the questions I asked myself were, why would they use human flesh, which I know, having bitten my tongue and burned my mouth many a time, does not taste good, to flavor something like ice cream, which I know tastes good? Why would they put something that tastes bad into something that they can only make a profit by selling if it tastes good? That obviously doesn't make any sense, so I rejected the claim. With international politics, it was a lot harder. But I still asked why, what are their motives? Why would they care so much about destroying Israel? Is everyone's vendetta against the Jews just that bad? What would motivate them to do that? Another time I measured out the length of Noah's Ark because I wanted to know how big a boat he had to build to house all those animals. And once I did that, the story kind of fell apart. How could he hold all the animals in a space that small? I knew from my personal experience that the space that I had measured out wasn't large enough to hold 2 of all the animals that lived just within 5 miles of my neighborhood for a year, much less all the species on Earth. And then when Obama won the presidential election in 2008, I saw a lot of stuff that reminded me a lot of my parents and their insane ramblings. Insofar as it made no sense and I couldn't trust it. I saw people holding signs comparing Obama to Hitler. I went to the protest and asked them who they believed he was going to genocide. And when they said white people, I asked why they thought that and how he was going to use a minority to overwhelm the majority. When they said that he was a fascist and a socialist, a communist and a dictator who was out to undermine our way of life, I asked what evidence they had, and they just got angry. Now I'm watching the exact same thing happen all over again, but this time with liberals. I'm being told that Milo Yiannopoulos started the violence on the UC Berkeley campus because he came with a list of people he suspected of being undocumented immigrants and was intending to rile up rape and murder gangs against them. I'm being told that Trump is a fascist and is going to implement a racist purge of some description. I'm being told that Russia engaged in a campaign to undermine the democratic process in the United States, or that they outright tampered in the 2016 election. And when I ask, well, what is the evidence? All I get in reply is anger. I know from my 17-year case study that anger is the response you get when someone doesn't have an answer, because you have undermined a narrative that they believed or asserted without any evidence. I have been hurt enough times for questioning a literally insane narrative to know that that is the exact opposite of the response you give when you have evidence. That is the response that you get when you question things that are unquestionable. I am working hard to regain my voice and to be open in questioning narratives. And it pains me very deeply that most of the people who I thought would do the same are refusing to do so. It pains me that many of the people who I had seen question these insane narratives about Obama are refusing to do the same when it comes to Trump. It pains me that I'm being called right-wing or fascist for my refusal to stop asking questions. I know that names will not break me. As I've said before on this channel, if you can escape a situation by pressing a red X, then it is not a case of violence. I have been through enough real violence to know that. But I know that there are many people who haven't learned that. And I know that there are many people who will be silenced by intimidation. And I see things like Antifa protests getting out of hand and careening towards a more violent world, based solely on unquestionable narratives, and it hurts. It scares me because I know all too well where the road leads. I know all too well what happens to those who ask questions, who won't stop asking questions, who can't stop asking questions. And I don't want to see my country or my world go down this road. This road that I have traveled for far too long. I have been told far too many times in the past few days that I'm being too pragmatic or too logical, and that I need to try to understand the emotions of the people around me. Well, here's me being emotional. Here's my emotional appeal to you. I know where this will lead. I have seen where this will lead. I have seen the suffering that this will bring. Don't make these mistakes. Don't suffer what I suffered. Don't allow ideologies to overrule your judgment. Tell the people who are feeding you hysteria and paranoia that you will not buy it anymore. Stop sharing things, whether they're blog posts or mainstream media links, that there is no evidence for. Stop demonizing people who disagree with you, or you've just assumed have disagreed with you. Ask questions. Demand answers. Don't be satisfied with clickbait and hype. Please. For your sake. For my sake. For all of us. Please, just don't stop asking questions.